In this video, I'll be discussing the different cloud service types along with the shared responsibility model in Azure. This content is relevant for anyone taking the AZ-900 Azure Fundamentals exam and will cover the following skills that are evaluated in the exam. Describe the shared responsibility model, describe infrastructure as a service, describe platform as a service, describe software as a service, and identify appropriate use cases for each cloud service. So as I've alluded to already, there are three models of cloud services. IaaS, which stands for Infrastructure as a Service, PaaS, which stands for Platform as a Service, and SaaS, which stands for Software as a Service. I'll explain each of these models in this video, but first, let's start with the shared responsibility model. The shared responsibility model is a concept that defines the responsibilities of both the cloud provider and the customer when it comes to securing and managing resources in the cloud. So what are these responsibilities? Well, they are as follows. Physical security of the data centers. These data centers host your infrastructure, and they need to be physically secure, protected from natural disasters, and managed. Network infrastructure security. This refers to the measures that are taken to protect the network infrastructure of a system from unauthorized access, data breaches, and other security threats. Physical host security. This refers to the physical security and management of the underlying infrastructure, such as the physical servers, networking, and data centers. The responsibilities I've discussed so far relate to physical infrastructure. Additionally, you have responsibilities that are specific to the platform as well, such as the operating system responsibility. This refers to the responsibility of managing and securing the operating systems of the virtual machines running in the cloud. This could be security patches, updates, or monitoring for security threats and minimizing security risks. Network controls responsibility. So this will be things like firewall and security settings, network monitoring, and configuring VPN connections. Applications responsibility. So this refers to securing applications and data that run on the cloud. It can be things like access controls and encryption. Identity and directory infrastructure responsibility. This refers to configuring user authentication and authorization, as well as enabling multi-factor authentication. You also have responsibilities at the software level. You have accounts and identities responsibilities. This involves managing and securing the accounts and identities used to access the software. Devices. This involves managing and securing devices used to access the software or resource. Information and data. This involves managing and securing the information and data that is stored on the software or specific resource. This will include data classification, data backup, recovery, compliance, monitoring, and reporting. It's important to note that the shared responsibility model is not a one-time event, but rather a continuous process that requires ongoing monitoring, management, and improvement. Staying on top of each of these responsibilities will ensure the security and reliability of your cloud infrastructure and services. So before I discuss the three cloud types, I just want to clarify, if you were to host your own servers in an on-premise environment, then you would be responsible for everything. You would also have complete control over the infrastructure. So now let's discuss infrastructure as a service. Infrastructure as a service is a cloud computing service model in which a third-party provider, such as Microsoft Azure, offers virtualized computing resources over the internet. Some examples of common resources and services that require infrastructure as a service would be storage, such as Azure Blob Storage, Azure Files, and Azure Disk Storage. Virtual machines to run applications and services. Load balancers to distribute traffic across virtual machines. Auto-scaling capabilities that allow customers to automatically adjust the number of virtual machines based on demand. And security and management tools, such as Azure Security Center. Some common use cases for this type of service would be things like development and testing. With infrastructure as a service, you're able to quickly create and deploy virtual machines with the necessary development tools and environments, without having to worry about managing the underlying infrastructure. Another use case could be hosting websites and web applications. Infrastructure as a service can be used to host websites and web applications by providing the necessary computing resources and scalability to handle traffic spikes and growth. You also have data backup and recovery as a potential use case, where infrastructure as a service can be used as a backup and recovery solution with virtual machines and data stored in the cloud, providing highly available and scalable solutions. Other examples of use cases could be big data processing or high-performance computing. In summary, this type of cloud service provides a scalable and cost-effective way to leverage computing resources without having to own and manage your own physical infrastructure. So now let's go back to the shared responsibility model. When it comes to infrastructure as a service, the cloud provider is responsible for the physical data center, network, and the host security. But everything else is your responsibility. So as you can imagine, this is the most flexible category of cloud services, which provides you with the most control of your resources. So now let's move on to platform as a service. This is a middle ground between infrastructure as a service and a complete and deployed solution, which would be software as a service. PaaS or PaaS provides a platform for developers to build, deploy, and manage applications without having to worry about the underlying infrastructure. In Azure, some of the PaaS offerings include Azure App Service, which is a fully managed platform for building and deploying web, mobile, and API apps. Azure Functions, which is a serverless computing service that allows developers to build and deploy event-driven, scalable, and cost-effective applications. Azure Logic Apps, which is a workflow automation platform that developers use to build and deploy workflows that integrate with a variety of services and applications. You also have a variety of SQL databases and then big data and analytics resources too, such as HD Insight, Databricks, Synapse, Azure Data Factory, and the list goes on. Some examples of use cases would be web and mobile application development, API development and management, big data and analytics, machine learning and AI, along with a range of other use cases. So now back to the shared responsibility model. With platform as a service, Microsoft takes care of all of the responsibilities at the infrastructure level, such as the physical data center. Additionally, Microsoft takes responsibilities for the operating system. But then the responsibility is shared between the customer and Microsoft when it comes to network controls, applications, and identity and directory infrastructure. And then the remaining elements are the customer's responsibility. Software as a service is the most complete cloud service model. Azure hosts and delivers software applications to users over the internet. Software as a service offerings typically require no installation or maintenance and are accessible from any device with an internet connection. Here are some use cases for Azure Software as a Service resources, and they would be Office productivity. So these would be offerings such as Microsoft 365, which provides cloud-based productivity applications such as email, word processing, spreadsheets, and more. Customer relationship management. These would be offerings such as Dynamics 365, which provides cloud-based CRM applications. You also have e-commerce. There would be offerings such as Shopify, which provides cloud-based e-commerce platforms that enable organizations to create, manage, and sell their products online. And then another use case could be business intelligence. So you have offerings such as Power BI, which provide cloud-based business intelligence and analytics applications that will enable organizations to create and share interactive visualizations and reports. Now, going back to the shared responsibility model, for software as a service, Microsoft takes care of everything up to identity and infrastructure, which is shared between the customer and Microsoft. And then the customer is also responsible for the accounts and identities, devices, and information and data. Compared to the other two service types, Software as a service is the least flexible. However, it is the most convenient and easiest to get up and running, as it requires the least amount of technical knowledge or expertise to deploy. Okay, great. So you should now be familiar with the shared responsibility model, along with the 3 types of cloud services, each with different levels of responsibility between the cloud provider and the customer. If you check out the links in the description, there are some practice questions you can take, covering what I've discussed in this video to help you prepare for the exam. Thanks again for watching, and if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more Azure tips and tutorials.